All right. Let me go ahead and just confirm that we are indeed live, and then we'll go from there. All right. So it looks like we are broadcasting, we are streaming, and this is now officially a thing. All right, guys, welcome. And if you guys just came from that colossal shit show that was on Kyle's stream, I apologize that you had to listen to such nonsense. So we're going to go ahead and get right on into it. The first thing that I wanted to point out is that Kyle says that this isn't going to be done on my time frame, on anyone's time frame, or anything like that. That these things take a certain amount of time, and that we should basically just suck it up and deal with it. Now, I have been in a few legal situations, and other people have as well. Contact is quick, Kyle, and it should remain quick. It does not take this long to send over your attorney's contact information. And if you had any doubt about Ruhiff, you should have sent it over to Steve McCrae directly. It's not that complicated. He is the other part of this, all right? What's going on right now involves him. He should be involved. No shit, I know. But what we have seen from you is that this reasonable amount of time, or this unreasonable amount of time, is now over a month. How long does it take to send over even the beginning details? I'm telling you, there has been a lot of legal talk going back and forth, and I'm not an expert in any way, shape, or form, but the one thing I do know for a fact is it does not take this long to make first contact, which is why, you know, it is a possibility. I'm not saying it is the case, but it is indeed a possibility that you may not even have an attorney. And the reason why people are so quick to jump your shit is because of the time frame that this is taken. It's unreasonable. What you are asking us to basically deal with, or what you're asking Steve McCrae to deal with, I should say, is unreasonable. And I would struggle to find one person that has their head screwed on straight that would actually agree that, oh, over a fucking month before even first contact is made, yeah, totally reasonable. Totally reasonable indeed. So with all that being said, there was some text messages that were being shown. And by the way, those text messages were, those were my texts. But since we're in the business of showing each other's text messages, which, by the way, he never gave me the go-ahead, never gave him, but whatever, I'll go ahead and play a little bit of my own, because here's the thing. He says that he made first contact with me to come to the table to discuss things and whatnot. Actually, guys, Kyle didn't do that. And what I'm going to play for you here right now is a recorded conversation between Kyle and me. And I want you to pay really close attention to what Kyle is promising, to what Kyle actually delivered. This is why I'm telling you guys right now, Kyle just fucked himself. And I'm pretty much saying not in a way that he even saw coming. So I'm going to play you guys a little clip right now. I'm going to have to blast this through my speakers, so I apologize for the shit audio. But I want you to listen very carefully to the bullshit that Kyle was trying to push onto me. Here it goes. Enjoy. You want to know what would be a really good way of going forward in good faith? Would be to do not necessarily everything, but the bare bones minimum, which would be to simply show him the books. Can that be done? If I go to him and I say, hey, listen, Kyle's coming to the table, but not only is Kyle coming to the table, he's coming to the table with, at the very least, the books in hand. If I went to Steve McCrae with the books in hand, he would pounce on that like flies to hot shit.
If if he's willing to talk with me about this in a call, then I will have the books ready. And that was part of the other thing too, with moving forward, that he would have that on a monthly scheduled sort of basically what we should have done in the first place in getting everything in writing. And then I was thinking about it the other day. In all of this, I think that we both acted in ways hastily and in ways that we otherwise shouldn't have. And before it comes to a head and gets out of control and that sort of thing, I'm willing to bite the bullet if he is.
So, before the meeting was a thing between Steve McRae, Kyle, Ruhiff, and myself, and also Bullinator, there was a promise being made. That promise was, if he is willing to talk to me, I will have the books in hand. Steve McRae was willing to talk to him. And when it came time to ask him for the books, or even ask how much money is in the account, Kyle said, "Oh, I'll have my attorney send that to you." So that's actually pretty weird, huh? So he promises one thing, does a completely different thing, and we're supposed to just take his fucking word for it when he has demonstrated that he lies like a motherfucker. This is why we have been trying hard to push the process forward on our own. And that's another reason why these things have to be live. These things have to be public. These live streams have to happen. Because the only way to get Kyle to move is to light some serious fire under some serious ass. That is the only way that we're actually going to get traction on this. If we had remained silent on this, if Steve McRae had remained silent on this, if I had remained silent on this, if Bullinator kept his fucking mouth shut, we would see little to no movement. We wouldn't have anything. We wouldn't have the 2 live streams of Kyle basically ruining his reputation at the very fucking least. So there's also another portion of this exchange that I want to play for you guys, and that is that while he did come up with the offer to talk to Steve with the books in hand, which by the way he never fucking did, which again shows he's not very honest. There was also something else that he wanted to bring to the table to try and sweep all this under the rug and go back to the way things were. Not going to happen. But I'm going to play this portion for you guys because it actually shows what I think Kyle was actually trying to do. Let's have a listen. The end result is this. Steve is not going to get the short end of any stick. I don't know what he sent you, but I know exactly what he has, what he's told to me, and I've seen a lot of his stuff, which is very privileged, which I'm not going to go into. Let me just say this right here, right now. He has absolutely nothing to worry about. Now, if we do want to go ahead and come to some sort of agreement, I'm more than happy to pass that off to Steve so that he can be informed that you're coming to the table with something. But I can't show up empty-handed. So what exactly are you offering?
What I'm willing to do for this, I think for the sake of the entire situation, is I'm willing to go to where we were before. I will, and we can draw this all up in writing so that it's what we should have done in the first place. What I'm offering is this. Steve gets his 50% in perpetuity, which is what he wanted. 4 days on, as long as he assists with, basically what he was doing in the first place. And understanding that the channel decisions and directions and that sort of thing lies with me.
All right, so there is a lot to unpack with that little bit of recording. And I want to make it clear that that was the first offer that he made on that call, the first offer to go back to the way things were. Now, I want to highlight a quote that Kyle said. He gets his 50% in perpetuity, which is what he always wanted. So obviously, this wasn't ignorance on his part. He knew this from the very first fucking day that that is exactly what Steve wanted. That's exactly what Steve agreed to. And you know, it just shocks me that he wants to try and spin this narrative that, oh, this 50% in perpetuity, that was never discussed. That was never a thing. That was never agreed to. Go back to Kyle's first ever fucking stream about this nonsense. And he said outright, he said fucking outright that that 50% in perpetuity was never mentioned. And yet here we have a recorded conversation where Kyle admits to the exact opposite being true. How badly, Kyle, do you have to get buried underneath your own lies and deception before it comes back, before you finally fucking realize that, ooh, I really screwed the pooch on this one? Like fucking serious. I'm actually shocked. And I talked to flat earthers. All right, but moving on. Let me try one more thing.
Perpetuity.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. He wanted to go back to the way things were, but with the understanding that Kyle gets full creative controls and the direction of the channel, he wants to remain in control of that. So even if Steve McRae wanted to put more than 5% of the work in, Kyle is demanding to have the control, which means he's going to have to do all of the fucking work as that's what's going to happen by default. If he has all the control, he's naturally going to do most of the work because he's going to decide which direction the show goes. So on one hand, he's bitching and moaning that Steve McRae didn't do enough. Then in the other hand, he is offering to go back to the way things were, where Steve doesn't have the ability to do more, even if he fucking wants to. He's talking out of both sides of his mouth. That is what that audio recording shows right here, right now. It shocks me. It actually shocks me that you think you've made a legitimate case for yourself, Kyle. It actually fucking shocks me. And that also brings up another thing. Kyle, having control of the channel does not give you the right to do a hostile takeover. Having the passwords does not give you the right to do a hostile takeover. Making most of the decisions doesn't give you the right to do a hostile takeover. The only way that you could move forward is by doing the exact opposite of what you did do. You don't just arbitrarily kick someone out because you had a disagreement with them. You actually have to have a conversation with your 50% partner, which has now been exposed that you know for a fact that he was at day fucking one. So having creative controls, having the right to make decisions as far as which direction the channel goes. If you want it to become the Mr. Atheist second channel, the Mr. Atheist secondary bitch show, that's fine. You can go ahead and make those decisions. All right? That's fine. You can go ahead and do that. You can go ahead and ruin Non-Seq all you fucking want, but that doesn't give you the right to do a hostile fucking takeover. That's not how this shit works. A 50% partner, regardless how much work they actually put into it, is still a 50% partner. That's it. So you have no excuse as far as why it's taking so long to even get the fucking contact information or the books. You have no excuse as to claiming ignorance about the 50-50 split in perpetuity, since you were caught, you have been recorded not only making that offer again, but acknowledging that that was always the case. And you also are caught with the lie that you would show up to the original meeting with the books, and you never did. You once again said, my attorney will get it back to you sometime by Monday or Tuesday. Well, Kyle, I don't know if you fucking realize this. It's now Friday, and we still haven't heard shit. And also, we went over how having control of the channel or having the ability to make creative decisions about the channel does not give you the right to do a hostile takeover, nor should it when that's what you are demanding in the first place in order for things to, quote, go back to normal. You are demanding to have more control, thus take on the more work. So even if Steve McRae wanted to do more for the channel, you wouldn't let him do it in the fucking first place. With this, I'm going to pass it off to other people who are in the call. And I'm going to give it to Nick, because Nicholas is limited on time. So, Nick, say what you got to say.
Thank you very much. I don't know. I'm going to cover nearly half of what I want to cover in the time I have because I do have another stream. I would very much like to stick around. I'll start with the suits because that's the one that the live chat was most upset about. And I admitted there, and I'm happy to admit on the air, I may very well have been wrong about that, and I'm happy to discuss the details and how and why. If I was, I sincerely apologize and will do whatever is required on that. On the things that I think are genuinely important, well, and that's actually, no, I shouldn't be so dismissive because that could cause problems. So I should be right, and so I will work on it. Here's the thing. I think a couple of things based on something Red's just said. Look, if Kyle said, and this is actually the first I heard of it, if Kyle said, I'm willing to give him 50% in perpetuity, there's a very serious problem there because when he says that, that suggests to me that Steve is worth that. And that suggests to me that if Steve is worth that, that probably was, in fact, the deal from the beginning, and that he's not actually giving Steve something. He's going back to the original position they had before the argument. I have to tell you, if I didn't think someone had 50% ownership in the show, they pulled what he's accusing Steve of pulling at this point. I'm not going to say, why don't you come back and I'll give you that 50% that you wasn't yours in perpetuity if you'll come back. I'm lost on that one.
Yeah, it seems really strange.
Yeah. So as to but the biggie here, and this is the two biggies of all of this, and there's so much to hit, but two biggies of all of this. One, the financials. The first time Steve is owed those financials regardless. The second Kyle said you are owed 50%. He is owed the financials, and he's owed those financials a year ago. He's owed those financials a year ago. There is no refuting that under any set of circumstances, and those financials are done. If Kyle's paid the taxes, they're done. They should have gone to Steve a very long time ago. Kyle said he wanted to hold on to them until April 16th. The first concrete promise that I'm aware of was April 16th. That's actually 90 days ago was the first time the books were promised, and they haven't come forth. And there have been repeated promises since then, and every time they haven't come forth. If he if they haven't settled on the numbers, if they haven't settled on whether there was fraud, anything like that, none of it matters. Kyle is required by law to hand them over to the person who is owed 50% of that money. If he thinks he's protecting Steve or something, he doesn't protect Steve by not handing that information over. He doesn't protect Steve by not keeping up his end. Steve can deal with his own problems. And this narrative that I'm protecting Steve from himself, Steve has access to lawyers, and even if he doesn't, it's not Kyle's problem. Kyle is required by law to submit them. He has repeatedly said, I will get them to you by a certain date, and repeatedly failed. Now, he's got decent reasons why, but as I understand, I'm going to have to just keep going, Dave, because I'm on a clock. I'm already going to be late for a stream. Now, if he... what was the last thing I said? So he is required to hand over those books. Now, he said, and I caught something very interesting. He said, well, I misspoke when I said Monday. I hadn't talked to my lawyer. It was really going to be 3 or 4 days. Great. It's been 5 days since then. So he'd still have missed the deadline. So we just keep missing deadlines. Now, as to the lawyer, this struck me as a little bit of sleight of hand. He said, the reason I haven't released the lawyer's information is because I don't want anyone harassing my lawyer. Good call, very smart. And here's why, because the lawyer's going to charge you for every one of the 3 million trolls you get. Don't release that guy's information publicly. Do not do that. However, nobody has asked him to do that. What's been asked is, could that lawyer please maybe talk to Steve? And I've got to tell you, the first thing any lawyer in any situation, and please, if there are any lawyers in the live chat here now or listening to this, or any of the people who are trolling me who are saying you're lying, you don't understand, somebody talk to a lawyer and ask, what's the first thing you as a lawyer do? You talk to the other side, if for no other reason than to get them to shut up. You sit there and say, hold on, please. You sit there, what you do is you contact the other side and you say, listen, Non sequitur is a property, and every time you go out there and you say that Kyle's being a bad boy, every time you do that, what happens is that property value goes down, and if you want to get paid, you don't want that to go down. So let's stop arguing publicly, and let's discuss this between the lawyers. That's all anything has to happen. Kyle says, I'd like this public bickering to stop. Guess what's going to happen if his lawyer contacts Steve's lawyer? It's going to stop. Kyle has said he's had a lawyer for, to the best of my knowledge, 30 days now. I have never in my life, and I've been around lawyers my entire life, I have never in my life heard of a lawyer that waited more than 48 hours to contact the opposing side, even if it's just to say, listen, there are concerns of fraud, there are concerns of tax, and I've got a lot of clients other than this one. Could you give me a couple of weeks? But let's stay in touch. Let's, aside from the fact it's even billable hours, and I'm sorry, but on occasion lawyers say, hey, if I can get a billable hour, I will. So I cannot comprehend any set of circumstances. The first time that I'm aware of that Kyle said he had a lawyer was 30 days ago. I cannot comprehend any set of circumstances where, and I think Red's put it right, first contact, even if it's just to say, listen, I'm busy, so I can't answer any of your questions right now, but I am here, I'm working on it, nothing to worry about. And why is Kyle the one reassuring us of that? If I were Kyle, I'd say, listen, people are worried, I don't have a lawyer, this is causing a lot of drama, and I'm losing subs. Could you please contact Steve and tell him that there's a lawyer and see if you can get him to quiet down? It would cost a lot less money to get your lawyer to talk to Steve and get Steve to shut up, which actually is doable. It's really fucking hard, I know, but it's doable. If you could get your lawyer to talk to Steve's lawyer and get him to shut up, which Steve will do if it's going to increase his chances of winning this, it would cost you a lot less in the billable hours of that than you're losing on patrons and subs. There is zero reason I can find for there not to have been contact in the first 48 hours, let alone 30 days. Nobody has said release that information publicly. That is insane. What they're saying is release it to the opposing side, which is Steve McRae. And every time Steve's power of attorney or Steve himself has said, could you please let me know who this guy is so we can talk and we can move forward, nothing happens. Nobody. Kyle's like, well, it's unreasonable to expect it would be done in 30 days. True. Very true, but nobody has said we should be done in 30 days. What people have said is, could we have some motion in a direction in 30 days? The books, maybe, which were promised over 90 days ago, repeatedly. No. A lawyer, just to talk to understand that you know how serious this is. No. A meeting that's going to be reliable where promises that are made are actually going to be met the next week. No. There has been zero progress. In fact, nothing has changed since the original meeting where Boole and Steve were locked out of the show. Nothing's changed. There has been zero progress in 30 days. I mean, nothing, not even like just a hello from a lawyer. Nothing. It's as if it happened yesterday. So the reason people are upset isn't because it's not done. It's because nothing's happened.
No,
as to my point on the lies, so on and so forth, for me, that was a game changer. As I understand it, and listen, again, I'm willing to be wrong. And I'm glad to hear that Kyle respected me. I'm sorry if that's no longer the case. I certainly understand if that's no longer the case. I do think if he knows me, he knows I've always been open to correction. I'm open to correction on the suits, and I was on the live stream, and I'm open to correction on this. But Boole is a universally respected person. And one of the things is, Steve McRae first came to me and said, Nick, I've been locked out of this. Kyle says it's for SEO reasons, but I'm getting some funny vibes about this. What do you think? And we talked about it. And he'd been talking to a lot of other people about slowly having his privileges revoked or things getting transferred into Kyle's name. And this was happening slowly over a period of time. And every time there was a very good reason for it, but it just kept happening. And he had lost a tremendous amount of the access to anything that could be financial. He had lost the YouTube. He had lost it all. And I'm sitting there going, well, okay. And he said, well, and Boole's lost it too. That's the only thing that makes me think maybe this is legit. But then Boole gets it back. And then Boole says, as I understand it, that he was asked by Kyle to lie about it. Not stay out of the way, but if Steve asks you, I want you to lie. Now, it's possible Boole is mistaken. It is possible Boole is lying. I am utterly convinced he's not lying. and then or Bull's telling the truth. One of those three. I don't think he's lying. I really don't think he's lying. And even Kyle refused to say he was lying. Nobody has accused him of lying on this. So he's either mistaken or he's telling the truth. I don't think he's mistaken. I don't think he's mistaken because everything he says goes in line with the emails that I saw of what was going on when Steve was losing these privileges, when he was asking about it, and when he actually wasn't being told the truth himself at that exact time by Kyle. And I told Steve, I said, the second your business partner lies to you, you've got a very serious problem. And even if it's just lying about the SEO, there's a problem. And that's the first time. And Steve and I were, and he's like, okay, there's a problem. And Kyle's Bull's story fits that timeline and fits exactly what was happening perfectly. Is it possible he was still mistaken? Yes. But when you take that into account with everything else, the fact that just deadline after deadline after deadline after deadline after deadline after deadline, most of them given by Kyle, starting back as April 16th, that he will get the books on April 16th, and 2 more deadlines that Reds just gave me, I had never even known about, missed every single time. When he says he's had a lawyer for 30 days, but the lawyer hasn't even asked Steve, shut up, so that we can fix this. And Kyle's like, I wish Steve would shut up. Well, Kyle, that's why you got a lawyer. Have your lawyer tell Steve to shut up. And there's some very good reasons. Nothing. I guess the last thing, just because I think it's interesting that people were also upset about the power of attorney, and gee, a power of attorney can't act. Doesn't Steve know that a power of attorney can't act as an attorney? No, because Steve's an idiot. Yes, he knows what a power of attorney is. The problem is he is not as well versed in the law as he'd like to be, and he had a friend who was well versed in the law, so he let that friend act in his stead. That man was not a member of the bar in the right jurisdiction. That man was not able to practice law, so he did not practice law. But he had experience with this kind of thing, and so Steve trusted his judgment better than his own. Steve has since hired an attorney. He and that attorney have talked. That attorney has been paid. A course of action has been decided moving forward. I have spoken a bit with Steve about it, and he told me options that they had discussed and what he was thinking. It sounded to me like they had a very reasonable and good idea. They were very confident. The attorney clearly understood the ins and outs of where things had progressed and how they got where they are. It sounded to me like they had a lot to be confident about. Now, attorneys are always confident. They have to be, because that's how they get their clients to stay on the hook. So you got to be a little careful with it. But I think there is cause for optimism, and I am very pleased that there is no longer a power of an attorney, but an actual attorney with an actual plan forward. And given the fact that all anybody has said to Kyle is, could we start with the books? Just the books for at least 90 days, and nothing has happened. I think that is such a clear indicator of a very serious problem. And that there's been a lawyer that hasn't made contact via, as far as I'm concerned, Kyle, if your lawyer hasn't contacted Steve to get Steve to shut up, which is very doable in this case, actually, fire him. It's malpractice. I guarantee it, and I don't think there's a lawyer in the live stream who would disagree with me. Reds, thank you very much for having me.
No problem. Bullinator, do you have anything you would like to say about the current situation?
Well, not really. I mean, I'm 100% almost certain that Kyle actually doesn't have a lawyer and he's dragging ass just because he doesn't want to face the music at this point. That's where I think it's at.
Fair enough. But if there's anything else that you want to say, if not, that's fine. I'm going to pass on to Shawn Hufford next.
Well, I also want to add that, yes, Steve has hired a lawyer. I'm looking at the letter right here. So it has happened. It's not a question of whether Steve has a lawyer or versus a power of attorney. Now we do have a lawyer. So there you go.
All right. Shawn Hufford.
Well, as great as it was to give Nick the floor for that long, especially he was on time constrained, he actually took a lot of my thunder.
Well, if you want to repeat them, that's fine.
Well, about the whole point of, Kyle not wanting to give his lawyer's contact information to Steve because of internet trolls is the most retarded thing I have ever heard from somebody claiming to have a lawyer. He's right. They will contact the opposing party within 24 to 72 hours because they want them to shut up. They don't want things to devalue more than they already have.
He's protecting his lawyer. Because lawyers don't know how to do that themselves. He's got to protect his lawyer because they don't know how to protect themselves. They've never had
not at all
before.
Right, and trolls go after lawyers because it's fun target practice.
Non-Seq is literally an intellectual property. That's what it is. So it does have an intrinsic value to it on the market.
Yep.
And with all of the stuff coming from our side of the argument, it's decimating the value of that intellectual property. Any lawyer worth his salt, even fresh out of college, is going to get the other party to shut up with a very, very rapid cease and desist. Why hasn't that happened? Nothing has been done from Kyle's lawyer because that lawyer either doesn't exist or is inept. Get your lawyer in contact with Steve's lawyer if you have the balls to do it. I'm claiming you don't have a lawyer because this would have been done immediately.
I'm gonna bet Steve would have been happy to receive a cease and desist because then we would at least know that the lawyer was real.
Yeah,
we would also get some contact information, wouldn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
And I love that you played portions of that call, Red, because when I heard it, all I heard was desperation because Non-Seq was in the process of dying. He was at his lowest subscriber count yet because people just bleeding off. And it was literally a cry out to get Steve back on the show to stop the bleed out.
Well, not only was it a cry out to get Steve back onto the show, it was also an acknowledgement that the whole 50-50 thing was a clear understanding because of what he said. He said, which is what Steve always wanted. So this is not up for debate. This is not, this is no longer a question. When Kyle says the whole 50-50 in perpetuity thing was never a thing, was never discussed, you now have everything you need, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, to call Kyle out on his bullshit about that. Because here's the thing. If Kyle can go ahead and read off, personal messages and text messages and shit like that, then so the fuck can I. And so I just happened to have a recording of him basically shooting himself in the foot, as well as a recording of him begging Steve to come back, and also a recording of him saying that he still wants to have control over the direction of the channel, which means he would be taking on more work by default. So even if Steve wanted to do more work, Kyle would not allow that to happen. So in one hand, he's bitching about how much work he's doing, but then bitching that Steve may want to do more work. Yeah, exactly. So
I'm going to address chat for two people. They're trying to claim that the Non-Seq show for the Let's Set the Record Straight has been deleted. No, it has not. It is still there. It's not hard to find. Don't try to erroneously make a claim to try to make somebody seem like they're doing something behind the scenes. That video is still there. It's processing.
Yeah, it's probably not done processing it. This happens.
Now there is one thing that I wanted to highlight here. And that was the text messages that were going on back and forth. And when it comes to threats, first of all, I don't make threats, I make promises. And that promise was that we are going to continuously light a fire under your ass, Kyle, until we start seeing results. I'm not doing this for the drama. I'm doing this because a good friend of mine got fucked out of a lot of money. And so to make sure that that friend doesn't remain in the category of he is currently fucked, we need to light fire under your ass. Lighting some serious fire under some serious ass to move the process forward, because you know as well as I do, Kyle, that if we stayed quiet on this goddamn thing, we would see no progress whatsoever. But you did bring up threats. And I'm going to ask all of you guys in the Hangout, as well as everyone in the live chat, who do you think started that? Who do you think started that?
Don't you mean who do we know started that?
Yeah. So basically, Kyle pointed to his shitty fucking iPhone not working because of dark mode. Well, allow me to go ahead and show you my phone. My phone is a OnePlus 6T, which is an Android. As you can see, dark mode works on this because it's Android and not a shitty fucking iPhone. But let me go ahead and read to you what is currently displayed on my not shitty phone. It says, just a heads up. Since you decided you wanted to bring my integrity into question, I haven't yet decided on what to do with that whole video you sent me. May want to just be ready. My reply, I never sent you a video. And yes, I did bring up your integrity into question because your integrity is in question. Who fucking thought, right? Dogging on me will not bound the festering wound that you are now suffering from. I say this as a friend. Get your head out of your ass and think clearly. And of course, this starts a whole shit show, which I'm not going to bother going into right now because it's irrelevant. But I did want to highlight one thing. Look at this date and look at today's date. Yeah, both on the 12th. We've been going at this for a solid fucking month. So yeah. So
when you asked him if that was a threat, what was his answer? Because I think it was just like, oh, it wasn't a threat. I was just angry and saying things that would be bad to do, except I didn't do it.
Yeah, of course. You wanted me to. Oh, go ahead, Shawn.
One other point since you're bringing up your conversations, Kyle said that he didn't reach out to you; that you reached out to him.
Bullshit.
Will you bring up that conversation before the call that you were nice enough to record?
Bring up the conversation. Oh, sure, absolutely. Now I'm going to go ahead and upload this screenshot to the G Drive and then show you guys right here, right now. But for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and just say fuck it, and I'm going to read it out loud. And if anyone doubts that this is actually the case, I will go ahead and post a image of it here momentarily. But the conversation before was this. Obviously, we're not going to come to any... Now, this is halfway down the text message. Actually, I'll read the whole thing. Fuck it. Oh, you would be surprised. That is why having a recording of you admitting to everything is so gold. See how that turned out, right, guys? Obviously, we are not going to come to any agreement on anything, so do me a favor and delete my phone number. His response at 8:22 p.m. on the 2nd was done. So... let's see that one. Let me look, just verify. Let me look at information. Nope, on the 12th. My apologies, on the 12th. So at 8:22 p.m., 6/12/2019, he says done, as in he will delete my phone number and leave me the fuck alone at least. He then contacts me back on the 2nd at 6:02 p.m. Yo, give me a call after 9 if you are free. I then reply, why should I do that? Why didn't you delete my phone number? He responds, probably the same reason you didn't delete mine. My reply, I know nobody else in the Carolinas, so please tell me why I need to talk to you. Well, you don't need to per se. I think you'd be glad you did, but it's ultimately up to you whether you do or not. My reply, you are being very cryptic. Why can't you just tell me the reason for the call? So this is basically this is a catastrophic shit show on his part.
He's playing 1D chess.
Yeah, basically.
So just to point out there, Kyle, that would be you reaching out to Reds like you said you didn't do. You fucking liar.
He's not even playing chess. He is playing tic-tac-toe on a snakes and ladders board.
Hey Cheshire, while I'm getting this screenshot up on the screen, is there anything that you would like to add?
I took notes. You want me to go? First off, he was supposed to respond to your stream from yesterday. That's the whole reason it got delayed. Where's my goddamn happy birthday, Kyle? What the fuck?
Oh, one other thing. I'm sorry to interrupt, Jess. That tripped my trigger when the whole simulcast streams thing came up. Was it Casey or Katie? I can't remember.
Casey.
So Casey told Kyle that Reds was going to be streaming at the same time as his show yesterday. A little bit of research and looking at the fucking start times. Casey, why did you either not bother to look at the start times or did you actively lie to Kyle? Because Red Stream was scheduled for 10 p.m.
Yep.
Kyle's was scheduled for 9 p.m. Those are not the same time, you dumb bitch.
And literally
hang on, guys. Hang on.
He also said during that, had he known that the stream was a response stream, he would have just went ahead and done the stream anyway. And over an hour before he was scheduled to go live, or 30 minutes roughly before he was scheduled to go live, maybe an hour, somewhere in that range, when Casey posted that, she was told several times, and so was GE, no, this was a response stream. So he had no reason to not know this.
Pretty much. Also, I finally got that screenshot up. So here we have. So this is the screenshot.
Fuck me, I guess.
Yeah. Listen. Maybe later.
It's okay. The men are talking. I get it.
Here you can see.
Bitch, you can send me a link. I'll fight you.
Oh, don't get your panties unwad.
Cheshire.
I'm not wearing any.
Well, they're probably watered up in your drawer.
Anyway, moving on. So here we can see a screenshot of my phone. So as you can see, dark mode is working perfectly fine because it's not a shitty iPhone. But besides that, on my far superior Android device, we see, oh, you would be surprised, blah, blah, everything that I just read. But this was on the 2nd. Okay. So, or a little further up. So he says, just delete my phone number. Okay, done. This was on the 2nd. This was on the 12th, as I mentioned previously. I'll post another screenshot for that as well. But this part was on the 2nd right here. Yo, give me a call after 9 if you are free. Why should I do that? Why didn't you delete my number? Probably the same reason you didn't delete mine. I know nobody else in the Carolinas, so please tell me why I need to talk to you. Well, you don't need to per se. I think you'd be glad that you did, and blah, blah, everything I read from there. So yes, actually, I'm not the one that contacted Kyle. Kyle was the one that contacted me. So whatever narrative you're trying to push forward, dude, eat a dick on that front. All right?
Why are you running fucking Mortal Kombat typing as your...
Because OnePlus. Sue me. Anyway, so Cheshire, you had notes. I'm going to white box you now.
I took notes. I'm actually going to start from the bottom, so the last thing that he said, and work up, because it kind of loops around. It actually kind of goes full circle. So at the very end of the stream, he said he didn't like that people were getting in the middle. And like, so I was wondering who he was referring to, because was he talking about Katie, who kept saying random shit that made no sense, or is he talking about somebody like Reds, who he called and who he asked to come in and who was stuck in the middle at the beginning? Like, who's he referring to? Or is he trying to say at that point that anybody commenting on it, so like what we're doing now, if that's considered getting in the middle? Because we're not between Steve and Kyle, so by definition, we can't be in the middle. He said he didn't want to put Steve's business out there, but he's the one who said to make it public from the beginning. That's on record. On video of him being like, well, fine, make it public then. Let's hear the court of public opinion. So that was bullshit. Apparently, when he was messaging KC about stopping the stream, he wasn't at home. So he wasn't at home getting ready for the stream he was supposed to be on, I guess. Not wanting Dave in the middle, I immediately call bullshit on that, because he was perfectly fine doing it up until they forced him into a call. So bullshit there. That was at 40 minutes where he calls Dave a liar. Boole, if I'm not mistaken, you said you had screenshots of him telling you to lie. So bullshit on that.
I didn't watch that much of the stream, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the 40-minute...
He had the audacity to call me a liar.
At 40 minutes in, he was saying you were lying about something.
I'm checking it.
Timestamp, 40 minutes. It's like 40... It's just after 40 minutes.
I would actually love to hear that part and address it if we can at some point.
Yeah, for sure. Focusing...
But no, I didn't lie, Kyle. You asked me to lie for you, then said you couldn't trust me when you asked me to come back, or wanted to make sure that you could because reasons. And now you're saying that, so the implication being that you can't trust me because I wouldn't lie for you. Either that, or you're woefully so self-unaware that you can't be bothered to say, I asked a man to lie for me. You just are ignoring the fact that you did that and expect me to be honest with you and nobody else. So fuck you, Kyle. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Quickly,
Chesh, while you're on that point, the other thing that he did thank Dave and Frankie for producing and tried to. I think he didn't want to be called Mr. 95% anymore. That's why.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. Thanks, though, David.
He also still hasn't been paid and was promised to be paid from the Geek Room when he was producing. He still has not been paid a year later. This is not just Steve and Boole, who has
Right.
nothing.
It's Frankie from the Geek Room who's actually paying me to produce his show. That's how long it's been.
Yep. Cheshire?
So when he brought Nick up specifically, he was desperate as fuck focusing on his goddamn wardrobe. Who gives a shit? He missed the point about Steve not getting any money, which was the important part of Nick's hyperbole. Praising Boole, who he fucked over. Thanks, Boole, for doing all the work on the show. And he was explaining that 95% bit as he currently is still screwing you. He said that Steve agreed to that 95% of the work being done between the two of them, not including the producers, which that never happened on any of the videos that we've seen. And I bet you Steve would disagree with that. 35 minutes in, he's still asking for the court of public opinion. He is misrepresenting Steve, wanting Shannon to mediate. The way he described it was as if Steve wanted counsel when it was meant to have somebody moderate between two people who were upset, which is obvious. Those screenshots fucked him over more than anything else. I don't know why he thought those would be helpful. So I guess he doesn't understand that context is to remain in that context. So when Steve said something along the lines of, hey, no, it's fine, you make the decision and handle this, doesn't mean the whole fucking show, dumbass. It means in that context. This isn't rocket science. This is basic communication. If you wanted to handle it legally, then you should have been forthcoming with Steve's power of attorney. Even if you didn't have a lawyer of your own, you should be forthcoming with that person. I quoted him at further causing drama, and we are saying whatever we want to say, and it's taken at face value. People have been providing their calls, providing their screenshots, providing the video. So no, Kyle, it's you causing the drama, and the videos that they've been producing are of you perpetuating the drama. Okay. So
I watched the part of the video. It's actually from 41 minutes to 43 minutes.
Thank you.
He doesn't actively or outright say that David's lying.
Yeah, he implies.
But he does create a narrative that doesn't match Dave's emails.
Yeah.
So he's offhandedly just dismissing you as a non-argument.
Yeah. That's probably a more accurate way.
Basically what Steve told me has happened the whole time that Frankie and I were producing that. Oh, Kyle just wanted to fuck us.
Well, why do you think we have the hashtag what about Boole?
Yeah.
Yep.
Or bullshit.
I definitely took that as more of implying that Boole was lying and calling him a liar without directly doing so. But it's not
a far leap to go that route, but it's literally just a hand wave dismissal. Like, it doesn't matter what Dave's saying. This is my version.
At best, it's a hand wave.
Yeah.
People keep thinking that I'm siding with Steve. No. I'm telling the fucking truth. The fact that Steve's narrative matches mine should be a big fucking clue to anybody out there who knows me.
Not only that, but the fact that Kyle's own recorded words do not match what Kyle's words were when he was live, that should also be an indication of how screwy things are.
Yep.
He said one thing, does another, makes promises, doesn't follow through, continues to stall, and then says that we should be patient. Fuck you, Kyle. Seriously, go fuck yourself.
I got 3 more points and then I'm done, I promise. He was mentioning how long the lawyers take, and that people were saying that this should be settled by now. Nobody is making that argument. All people are saying is that there should have been contact made well before now, at very minimum. Everybody knows that as soon as the lawyers all have this, it's going to go dead for some time before we hear what the fuck's going on after that. Which also, by the way, has absolutely nothing to do with giving the books to Steve, which he should rightfully have access to anyway. Having the lawyers involved has nothing to do with the books that Steve should already have access to, period. The lawyers are going to force him to open those books to Steve. But other than that, he should already have those books. Releasing the lawyer because of trolls is already bullshit. You guys already know that, because all he had to do was give that information to Steve's power of attorney. It would have had nothing to do. It wouldn't have gone public. It would have just been between the attorneys. And if it did, then it would be basically suicide on those lawyers' careers to make that kind of information public like that. And just the fact that if Kyle was being honest, if Kyle cared about Boole, if Kyle cared about Steve, if Kyle gave a shit about making any of this right, he would have contacted Glenn with the books as soon as he possibly could with his lawyer name if he had one. And not if he didn't, and not reached out to fucking Reds. Because that right there is bullshit. And I'm done.
So basically, Kyle wanted to, quote, set the record straight, but what he in fact did was just make this shit a hell of a lot worse for him. And that's why I knew that this hangout was going to be necessary, because this hangout would be the only way that the record would actually be set straight.
Oh, and I'll correct myself. It wasn't his power of attorney. It was his attorney in fact. Okay. My mistake. I apologize.
All right. Understood. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. And we're going to wrap this up by just making sure that everyone can say what they have to say and then get the fuck out. So we're going to start with David, not Bullinator. David, say what you got to say and get the fuck out.
Yeah, that was pretty much exactly as disappointing and stupid as I thought it would be.
Perfect. Taylorman, Bullinator, say what you got to say and get the fuck out.
Basically what I said before. The truth is what I'm telling people. If they listen to me, if they look at my tweets, that's really important. Look what I'm saying in tweets. Because I stuck up for fucking KC, Godless Engineer, and fucking Katie and company at first. I said maybe they're just running, like, they don't have all the information. And they're not coming out and saying shit. But that hasn't changed. Kyle hasn't even done a thing to set them straight. If he wanted to do real damage control, he would tell them to stop saying shit that's demonstrably untrue. Demonstrably untrue. So this whole thing just pisses me off to no end, because Kyle took something I loved, which was the Non-Sequitur show. I loved it enough to do what I did despite not getting paid. It wasn't that I wasn't expecting to get paid. It was I was willing to give them the benefit of the doubt until they sorted it. I wasn't making money up until the night that this happened. I was still going to produce that show if they had managed to work it out. There was a flurfer supposed to show up and have a debate with Red's Rhetoric, which was the whole thing that brought this to a head, because Red said he wouldn't go on the show without Steve. That was the catalyst. It was, I'm not coming on the show without Steve, but I'll do a show. Okay, let's do it this day. Oh, okay, so it was with that understanding that Steve was going to be there. This was not a surprise to Kyle. It's not a surprise to him. It's not the surprise he's making it out to be. He knew Steve was going to be there that night. He hemmed and hawed about coming into the show. He did everything in his power to get that flurfer to show up first, so that there would have been a public witness in there, so he could have put on his persona and acted fake as fuck. Instead, you got to see the real Kyle on that stream, or on that leaked video, because that's what it was. It was recorded. He knew we recorded pre-show. He knew it. So, anyway, I'm done. Like, peace. Sorry I took so long, guys.
No, it's all good. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Cheshire, say what you got to say and get the fuck out.
I just enjoyed watching how fucking smug Kyle was explaining about his stupid suit, because that's almost like it was the only real point he had, because nothing else stood on its head at all. So he was super smug for a little while there, and none of these things are going to help him. Even his own screenshots, which means that the ones that he curated to show, don't help him. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this all goes. And I still want his response to last night's stream. I want a fucking happy birthday. Fuck you, Kyle. Okay, bye.
See you later. Shawn Hufford, say what you got to say and get the fuck out.
Oh God, there's so much I want to say, but like I said, my thunder was stolen. Damn you, Nick. It's really fucking cut and dry, Kyle. You're dishonest. You've shown yourself to be dishonest. You are openly lying at this point about everything. I actually held you in so much high regard back in the day when Non-Seq was in its growth. You had my utmost respect, and it's not easy to lose that with me. And you lost it entirely over the course of 36 hours. Because when this all started, I was still giving you benefit of doubt. I got the evidence up from Steve. Then you provided your evidence. I followed the evidence like I always do. You are a worthless human being. You need to stop what you're doing and get your head out of everybody else's ass. I know you like it there, but stop. Think about what you're doing. You're fucking yourself over. You're trying to fuck everybody else you can in the process. And you've destroyed a great community because you're a fucking dumbass. Stop being fucking greedy. Fix your shit.
All right, and I'm going to finish off by just repeating that no matter what legal issues you think Steve McRae is in, or what legal issues Steve McRae has, he still deserves to see the books. He still deserves to have contact information to your attorney sent to him. So you're not going to get out of that one. But thank you so much for contacting me first. Thank you so much for saying the things that you said on those recorded lines, because it helped demonstrate that you are in fact dishonest. So to make it very fucking clear from this point going forward, Kyle, any and all communication with me, between you and me, going from this point forward, all of it will be recorded, will be documented, and whether you like it or not, will be shared. So make sure you understand that before you decide to contact me. And just to make sure that people know what I was asking for, way before this stream was even a thing, I'm going to show one more. I'm going to screen share one more thing and then end it on that. The naming of the lawyers and going through the proceedings are two different things. As someone who has been in a few legal battles, the first step of contact usually happens within the first day or so, assuming, of course, they don't have a losing case. Won't even help otherwise. This was posted on the 10th. We knew from the very beginning that this shit wasn't going to be settled instantaneously within a day or so. However, getting the ball rolling should be quite nearly instantaneous. Getting contact information should be nearly instantaneous. And getting the fucking books should be delivered upon promise. In this stream right now, Kyle, I have played a recording of you promising to bring the books with you to that last meeting. And guess what didn't fucking happen? I also have here in this stream a recording of you saying that you want Steve McRae to come back, but you want all the creative power and you want to make the decisions on which direction the show goes. So basically taking on more work for yourself that even if Steve McRae wanted to do more, you wouldn't let him do it. What that means, Kyle, is that you cannot bitch about the work that you are doing or how much of it that you are doing when you dictated that it was going to be like that in the fucking first place. You're talking out of both sides of your fucking mouth with that one. And then the best one in my opinion is the acknowledgement that the 50-50 and perpetuity thing was a thing that Steve McRae always wanted. No shit, Sherlock. That was the understanding from day one. And now we have a recording of you admitting to that, not once, but twice. Now we have two separate recordings to you admitting as much. Stop this bullshit, dude. You know what you agreed to. You know what you promised Steve. For once in your goddamn fucking life, back up your bullshit. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good night.